Hello there, Mr. 411. How's it going?
Man, it's going well, Zach. How about yourself?
No complaints. Beautiful day.
There it is. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. All right, yeah. And actually it's a beautiful day over here this way. Just a little chilly, but it is
Same
it
here.
is uh it is January though, so it should be.
Little chilly. Not like it was in Buffalo yesterday, but yes, little chilly here.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna sit back here and chill and we're gonna knock out a couple of topics today. NFL is definitely gonna be on that slate of topics. We'll talk about Shannon Sharpe and what happened over there at the in Los Angeles in the Memphis Grizzlies Laker game, and that pretty much covered it today because I think that is what is needed to be talked about, and so we have a lot to say there. There's some important things. We're getting closer and closer to the Super Bowl, so things are really heating up now. So we'll get the inside information, uh, some X's and O's, if you will, from Zach. And
Yes, you will. I'll do my
yes,
best.
sir. Absolutely. All right. Well, Sports Brothers Show. You know the drill, Zach. Are you ready?
I'm ready there.
All right. Here we go.
All right. Let's
Yep.
get to it.
Back. Yes, everybody. Welcome to the Sports Brothers Show. He is Zach. I'm Mr. 411. We thank you. Please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share because sharing is caring. And sharing
Yes,
helps
it
us
is.
keep this thing rolling.
I
So we
believe in
definitely
sharing.
appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and if you already done all those things, we thank you for that, and we thank everybody in the future because all those future uh, subscribers and everything. That's we already putting it out in the air. We're pulling a LeVar ball. We're going to put it out there, speak it into existence.
Amen. Absolutely.
All right, Zach, NFL man, it is heating up. We're getting closer, one more step closer to the Super Bowl. Had some matchups over the weekend. You know, it's a mixed bag. We had some matches that were like didn't kind of pan out like exciting or whatever. But then we had the close game, semi. I would say it was pretty close. The Dallas and San Francisco game. And so let's get your thoughts. If you want to start with Saturday's matchups, and then we'll move forward.
Well, the easiest one, as we talked about last week, Philadelphia Giants. I don't know why people were trying to talk themselves into the Giants beating the Eagles. I, I've kind of gotten to the point I'm a broken record now when I talk about the Eagles, but the Eagles are a complete team. If I got any questions about the Eagles, it's their quarterback. If their quarterback shows up and plays well, the Eagles are going to be a tough out. They have two corners. They can take away your two best wide receivers. Now they can, as we may see next week against San Francisco, double your tight end or double your slot guy or play different games like that because they can play that one-on-one on the outside. They have numerous bodies that they throw at you on their defensive line. And as long as Lane Johnson is healthy, their offensive line is probably the best or definitely one of the best in the NFL. And they control you with passing and they control you with running. And when Hurts is in there and he's healthy, he adds that multi-dimension to them. So I like Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has been competent this year. He helped get the Giants to the playoffs and helped them win and he has a playoff victory under his belt. But it was no reason to go crazy about Daniel Jones. So that played out exactly as I thought it would. I mean, keep in mind too, the Giants need more threats at the receiver and probably tight end position, but they didn't have much of a chance.
Yep, yep, that's about it, man. They pretty much were rolled. They got ran right over by Philly. Seemed like Philadelphia was able to do what they want. Um, Everything came easy. in
Yep.
that game. So man, that just either the Giants were just not quite as good as we thought, as people may have thought they were, and or the Eagles are they're just that team,
Uh,
and there's a clear separation.
I think the Eagles. I mean, I'm sorry. The Giants are a 9-7-1 team, and the Eagles were the number one seed in the NFC,
Yo, in the NFC,
and they're in
okay,
New York.
yeah,
And then they beat Minnesota, which Minnesota has played to a degree up and down all year. So Eagles did what the Eagles do.
all right. And then there was the Jaguars in Kansas City.
Nothing surprised me there, except that when Mahomes went out with the twisted ankle, I would have thought that the Jags defensively would have been able to play better. And what was that? Was that a 90 plus yard drive that their backup quarterback did for a touchdown? Not going to say that lost you the game because the Jags offense didn't really play that well. But if you could have gotten the ball back then and maybe put a little bit more pressure on the Chiefs, maybe you get them to where they have to scramble. But the Jags are still a young team. Lawrence is still a young quarterback. He's got a lot of things that he needs to learn and progress at. And he's been, I guess, crowned this super QB, but he's still got to go out there and prove it. And like right now, he doesn't look like he's physically just better than everybody else. So maybe in the off season, he'll get a lot better. He seemed to lock in on Christian Kirk a whole bunch. Maybe that's because that's all you have, or you just have to learn how to manipulate the defense better. I'm not sure, but good steps for the Jags. And as far as for the Chiefs, uh, to be expected. They're a veteran team. They got best quarterback in the NFL. And next week we get to see what they're really about.
Indeed. I will say one thing that I did like about Trevor Lawrence was what he did after the game. How he waited right there in the tunnel, and he made sure that he gave every teammate he had a hug or a high five as they were heading to the locker room. So that shows that to me that just showed that the team is counting on is believing that he's the leader. I think that's another step for them as an organization. So they went from like not winning much to now winning your division, and making the playoffs, and having a fair, a solid showing against the Kansas City Chiefs team that, of course, many people would say is a Super Bowl contender. And
Yes.
so I think that for Jacksonville, that's what you take from it: experience, the opportunity to get a taste of what it's like, see a team that has been to the Super Bowl, see a quarterback that has won a Super Bowl, and then go from there. So good thing. That's good for Jacksonville. Great season, and hopefully they will not do what the Rams did this year, which is fall off the map. So we'll see how that goes. And
Yeah.
here's the
I
bracket. Oh, go
I
ahead,
would
Zach. Go ahead.
assume well, I would say I assume that they will look to make some improvements. And some of it just should happen just from guys getting older, mature, and knowing the system a little bit better, being more comfortable with the NFL.
Exactly. Okay, so I guess it's almost where we need to be. We talked about those were the Saturday games. As you can see, the brackets are up here, and we're going to go ahead and dive into the Sunday games. And we will let's go ahead and just talk about it, Zach. Buffalo, um, Buffalo. I know for myself, and in our preseason predictions, Buffalo and Philadelphia were my teams of choice. And now the one that remains are the Eagles. And I will say this on a Saturday night, I was sitting there watching the game, and I even said to myself, I said, "Yo, all right, I made my prediction way back then. Not going to change that." But I had a feeling that Cincinnati would do this. I had a feeling they was going to beat Buffalo, And I kind of took it off of how Buffalo looked the previous week against um, the Dolphins. To me, the Buffalo wasn't impressive at home against the Dolphins with their third string quarterback in Miami. And so for me, it was like, I got a feeling this is the one where Cincinnati can take it and move forward. But what did you gather from the game?
Well, first we'll go with just that. Buffalo was my Super Bowl pick, and then I had Tampa, so both of mine are out. Uh, we'll just say that the season did not unfold as it should have, and I thought Cincinnati might take a step back. Uh, Looking at it
Yeah, I
now,
did too.
uh, they have the best skill players in the NFL, like quarterback, wide receiver, running back combination. Especially when you throw in P Ryan, backup running back, and then you can even throw in their tight end. Like they have the best skill players in the NFL. Now they got to figure some things out on the offensive line, but they had 3 offensive linemen out, and they whipped Buffalo,
Yeah.
whipped them. Like they went into their house, grabbed the cold one out the fridge, laid out on the couch. You gonna go take a bath, took a bubble bath, came back, laid out some more, and Buffalo couldn't do a damn thing about it. Cincinnati, even if they don't win it all this year, depending on how they can go with Burrow's contract, they are like their window. I know he said is open as long as he's playing. I'm not so sure about that because when them contracts get laid out, we know that changes things, and we'll talk about that in a little bit with another quarterback. But they have a, I'd say this year and next year they have a great opportunity to win the Super Bowl. They really do, and they need to take advantage. Impressive victory for them to go on the road and do that. And really, as I said, it's justice how they, and I know the Hamlin thing was very serious. They got screwed out of that equation. They probably, since Kansas City won, they wouldn't have been the 1 seed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That game should have been in Cincinnati. In worst case, this should have been a neutral site game. And they just said, don't worry about it. We'll just make it a non-factor. And they did. And as far as Buffalo, you got to really look at your quarterback. And this is what happens when you sign these guys to these big contracts, that you got to steal from one position for another. And Josh Allen has to play a lot of hero ball. And everybody hypes him up. He gets the highlights when he goes and he takes on a little itty bitty corner and stiff arms him and runs him over. But I want to see the highlight of when they sent that damn slot blitz on his ass and he got hit his chest and he's on the ground rubbing his chest because he got lit up. Like it's all good when you can go out there and you can dictate to the defense and do all this stuff. But we know this is football. When you get into the playoffs, as you used to love to say about the Atlanta Falcons and Matt Ryan, you're not going to get the third place schedule during the season, or you're not going to catch it. Like when you get to the playoffs, you're playing against the better teams in the playoffs typically. And that's what Buffalo got caught up in. When you're one-dimensional, like they are, you're asking a guy, like with all of these quarterbacks, within general, maybe Mahomes, but even him to a degree. I think the rules allow a lot of these guys to be successful as far as the QBs and the wide receivers. And I would just tell you this, he ain't Marino and he ain't John Elway. Like John Elway and Marino, and I'm going to sound like the old guy, they did some really good things on the football field. And they did those things when you were getting thumped and when your wide receivers were had their movement was much more restricted. And you put all this stuff on Josh Allen, and their offense was pathetic yesterday. And then you throw in Diggs in there. And I think I would say Buffalo has low football character, and everybody's going to get on me about it. I don't understand why they couldn't complete that football game when everything was going on. And I get it, but it's football. You know stuff is going to happen. But okay, you couldn't complete the game. But to me, that just made me feel some kind of way about their team and their mental toughness. We've got on what's her name? Simone Biles, and our girl that was the track female,
Mm-hmm.
and
Carrie Richardson, one of
yeah,
Rich, Shakari Richardson. Yeah.
and people gave them a hard time for their mental toughness. Yet we got these big, strong football guys, and they're put in a situation, and it didn't seem like they handled that like they could. And then now, perfect example, you get to the end of the game, Diggs is throwing a fit, and then he doesn't come
Yeah.
out there for the media interview, and that just shows you, because if he'd had 10 balls, if he'd caught 10 balls, had 2 touchdowns, and had like 180 bucks, I'm sorry, 180 yards, he'd have been out there he'd have been had his kids, he'd have been doing everything. So this just tells you about those guys. And
Mm-hmm.
they're clearly at least the third best team in the division right now. And you got other teams out there getting better. So I don't know what Buffalo does. And I don't think you should fire the head coach, but
Mm.
you're stuck with your quarterback. So what do you do to get better?
Man, I think one thing Buffalo needs to do is they need to address the running back position. Um, Saquon Barkley would be a nice fit there, obviously. But what I mean by that is a talented back, that you could for example, in situations like this where you're not clicking on one way, you have your plan B. You got somebody else that can carry that load. Um, like for example, like Josh Allen if he's off. So and also that adds another dimension. You can hit the screen game. Barkley's proven that he's back and he's healthy. So you need like a true back because I'm not even sure that the backs that they currently have are a threat. And so that's the kind of game that you would have definitely benefit from a back. And we're going to talk about the running game. I'm sure we are in when we get to the Sunday games, and I'll refer back to this. But I think that's one thing Buffalo definitely needs to do. Defensively, I thought they was pretty good this year for the whole year. I thought they was pretty solid on that end because, like we said, Zach, Buffalo was a Super Bowl favorite. And so that means you have a lot of pieces in place. And I think early in the year, one of the things we did talk about was it'd be nice if they upgrade their running back position. So for me, I think that's where they need to go. And then, of course, Allen needs to continue to improve as a passer, as far as
Is he
like
going?
as a
Is he going
decision maker.
to? But is he
We don't
going to?
know.
Because as I
Yeah,
said,
that's
how
that's the
good
million dollar
is
question.
Allen? Like, how good is he? Because
Well,
and I'm just being real. He's not John
yeah,
Elway. And when I say
no,
John Elway, not the John Elway that won the Super Bowls, and you'll know this.
right,
I'm talking about the John Elway that led the drive. That when
right.
Denver didn't have very good skill players. And look,
Hmm.
you're a Seahawks fan, so when the Seahawks win the AFC West, I know people won't remember that, but you got
Yeah.
to see a lot of Denver back in the day. John Elway, and I'm not a fan of
Unfortunately,
his. John Elway was very good, and he would,
yeah.
especially come playoff time, when you got to last 4 to 6 minutes, he would get them victories that he shouldn't get
Mm-hmm.
them. One against my Houston Oilers back in the day that I'm not so happy about, but that's what he did. Now, when he get to the Super Bowl, when the NFC was crushing everybody, he would just be totally outmatched. But that's what I'm saying with Allen isn't doing, like, they make Allen to be a Superman, but this is the second year in a row you're going out in the second round. And like, if we just being honest with accomplishments, Allen ain't as good as Cam Newton. If we being
Correct.
real, and depending on how you want to look at it, might not be as good as Mike Vick, but he's definitely not as, like, if Cam Newton to me would be his comp, he hasn't done as accomplished as much as Cam Newton did early on when Cam was in his prime and in Carolina.
Hmm. Yeah, that's fair to say. There's definitely improvement that is needed. Obviously, if he ups his game, if he up his level, change. Like it's just like think about like a ball player, basketball player who, at one point in time, they were physically talented. They can get you to a certain point just off of their natural ability. But then when you get into the postseason, weren't able to get that team over the hump. But you got to come back stronger, or come back with a new move. You know what I'm saying? Come out with a mid-range game instead of just drive into the basket or come back with a better 3-point shot or come back with a better free throw shooting percentage. Josh Allen has to add to his game. And
But
then I think getting a good running back will help him as well. But go ahead, Zach.
well, we can hope. But as you just said too, not everybody adds to their game in the NBA.
Right.
Like Allen Iverson, though I won't put him in the Allen Iverson category yet because Allen Iverson was an MVP and made the finals. But Allen Iverson just was kind of what he was at a certain point. But a better comp for me would be Carmelo Anthony. Maybe
Mm.
Josh Allen is Carmelo Anthony, and this is just because they like you love to talk about guards in the NBA that they got to learn how to shoot because if they don't learn how to shoot, and you said this about Wade, and I think you kind of feel this way about Morant that attacking the rim and everything when you keep getting hit and keep getting hit,
Yep.
it's going to take away from you. Josh Allen gets hit a lot, like, and we saw it with Cam to a degree. People talk about this with Lamar Jackson, but Allen has to get better because eventually them hits are gonna catch up to him.
Absolutely. And credit to Cincinnati. They
Oh,
they really
absolutely.
they really got the job done on the road, took care of business. And
Yes,
as
they
you
did.
said, all the weapons that they have. I mean, in the quarterback,
Yep.
uh, Burrow, the quarterback is like he's hitting everybody. Is it doesn't have to be Chase. It doesn't, what I'm saying? It doesn't have to. And I don't see Chase, at least right now, I don't see him pulling the digs. You know what I mean? Like at this point in his career. And so it's like it could be T. Higgins, it could be Hurst, it could be, it could be either back,
Boy,
Pete Ryan, it could be anybody. You know what
like
I mean?
they got three legit
Oh yeah,
receivers,
Boyd too.
and
Yeah.
that allows Hurst to do his thing. And then they even got the little fourth guy, Irwin, I think is his name.
Mhm.
Look, they got all them other guys out there. You kind of forget about him, and he sneaks in and gets a big catch for you. Um,
Yep.
they're going to be very difficult for Kansas City to defend next week. And as I said, Buffalo at best, Buffalo is third in the AFC, and maybe they might be worse than that, depending on how you want to line things up.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, what game we had left? They would. Oh yeah, I was just trying to be funny there. But yeah, we have the America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, and the San Francisco 49ers. What an iconic matchup. Takes us back to a lot of memories. Cowboys and the 49ers, the 80s and 90s versions of those teams. So that's what we have for the main event, if you will, for the weekend. The last game on Sunday. It was I believe it was 9-9 at the half.
Yep.
I think there was an opportunity there where Dak threw a pick at late in the half, blown opportunity there. But let's go ahead and talk about this matchup, Zach. 49ers, they went on and won the game, so they will be advancing to play the Eagles next week. And let me get your take on that so far. Some of your
Well,
analysis of the matchup.
it played out kind of how we discussed it. I said Dallas needed to be able to handle the 49ers on the offensive front. They handled the 49 like as well as you can handle the 49ers. They
Hmm.
did that part. Uh, I said the offensive coordinator needs to call a game, kind of like you would with the Cooper Rush. Make sure you run the ball. You ain't gonna pick up but 1 or 2 yards, but keep running the ball. For the most part, they did play a kind of to a degree ball control type game. But the last part, what we talked about, what I talked about, well, I brought up to Micah Parsons. Hey, Micah Parsons, show up. Trent Williams is the best offensive tackle in the NFL. So understandable that you ain't go flash as many plays against him. But probably the most important part, what did I say? Your quarterback has to play a hell of a game for you, and he can't be the reason that you lose. And he had two indefensible turnovers,
Hmm.
and that's your game. Like that's your game. The first one, I'm sorry, both of them led to 3 points. Your first one gave the 49ers the lead, and you didn't get a chance. Like everybody thinks that when you get to the end of the game and you look at the score and say the score is 20-17, they're like, oh, well, it was a close game. Them turnovers didn't necessarily matter. But scoreboard dictates how you have to play. If I go up 20-0 on you, now all of a sudden maybe you are not going to run the ball as much. You're going to throw it more. They needed to put Brock Purdy in a position where he had to try to win the game instead of being in a nice comfort zone. And for the most part, he was in a comfort zone, and he was able to fight through everything in a close game. Dak Prescott lost the game for the Cowboys. The Cowboys should be looking at quarterback options. He has had enough time in Dallas that he is not performed to the standard they would want him to perform to. And he makes a lot of money. And I think everybody, I heard Colin Cowherd, he's my guy, and he was talking about how he liked how Dak handled himself after the game and all that stuff. But I got to be honest, I don't give a damn if you're a nice guy. And you kind of said that about Lawrence, and he was giving everybody dap. Like, I don't care if you're a jerk. I want you to perform well and win me football games. Lawrence is very young in his career. Dak Prescott, like, how can you have faith in Dak Prescott? And to me, I think that's what the game was, because your defense went out there, and I know they talk about that Diggs didn't get that interception, but Diggs was thinking he was going to have to make a tackle, and then he got shot when the ball came. Should he have caught it? Maybe, but Diggs ain't making $40 million a year. Your quarterback is. Your quarterback
and
is all these commercials. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'll let you go ahead. Finish your thought there.
No. I was just going to, they don't pay. Their Diggs' face ain't all over commercials and everything for America's team. The quarterback and the game is set up for quarterbacks and wide receivers to succeed. Dak Prescott has performed poorly, and him being up to shucks and I got to get better, and I don't care if you're sorry. And I'm gonna go back to what wife one used to say to me: you ain't sorry, you just sorry you got caught. Him being sorry, y'all lost. Y'all had a great opportunity to go to the NFC Championship, and let Cowboys fans tell it from what I heard last week. The Cowboys match up well against the Eagles. Like, the Cowboys, it's a toss-up game. The Eagles don't have no talent. So this was a great opportunity for Cowboys to get it done, and your quarterback didn't get it done. And what somebody should have asked Michael Parsons after the game is, hey.
Oh, hold on, Zach.
Oh, sorry.
I want you to save that thought, all right? Because you just brought him up.
If we look at the Eagles, is it Hurts or the team? I think it's a little bit of both, man. I think it's system and team. I think it's a little bit of both, man, because they got a great offensive line, which helps Hurts. Hurts has A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. They got a good running game. I mean, Miles Sanders. They scheme that they have. O-line. I mean, bro, and this Eagle Cowboy coming up, ain't it? Yeah, it's coming up. I'm not trying to make no enemies. I just love the game so much, and I understand it so much that I can't. When things are off, I just can't hold it in. I always gotta say something. Yeah, you're right. They got a great team, great defense. Everyone has their own opinions, but they got Jalen Hurts is. He's good. He's good. They got him for the MVP race with Patrick Mahomes.
All right, Zach, there you go.
And look, first, this is like NBA stuff that he's saying. It's football. One dude ain't supposed to be able to go out there in football and win you the game, because you got to depend on all this other stuff, be it your kicker, be it your defense, be it making sure that your wide receivers catch the ball. Or like we talked about with Buffalo, can you run the ball? San Francisco has a team concept. They don't need their quarterback to go out there and win the game. They just need their quarterback to go out there and perform. As far as the Eagles, who gives a damn if Jalen, I don't care. And here we go once again. I don't care if Jalen Hurts ain't Joe Montana or Warren Moon or Dan Marino or like. I don't need Jalen Hurts to be a Hall of Famer. I need Jalen Hurts to be Eli Manning. I need Jalen Hurts to be Joe Flacco. I need Jalen Hurts to be Trent Dilfer,
Right.
or Brad Johnson. Just be a starting quarterback on a Super Bowl winning team. Who's the guy from a few years ago for Philly that won the Super Bowl?
Was it Foles, Nick Foles?
Yes, be Nick Foles, because the team is there to help you do what you need to do. He's got 2 wide receivers. He's got a running back. He's got a great offensive line. He's got a good defense. Now, based on what Micah Parsons said, did the team not help Dak Prescott? So do the Cowboys not have a good team? They have a great quarterback. What does Micah Parsons say? Because why you didn't win yesterday? Because Philly won. You should be winning if your quarterback that great. So somebody need to ask Micah Parsons about his quarterback. And I said that at the time. Tell me about your quarterback.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Don't tell me about the Philly quarterback. Tell me about your quarterback that ain't ever played in an NFC Championship game. Whereas the Philly quarterback, year 3, I think, for him, he's gonna be starting in an NFC Championship game. So even if he loses at the end of this season, he's got an NFC Championship appearance on his belt. And guess who else? Brock Purdy. Like, everybody wants to make fun of Brock Purdy. If you're the last pick in the NFL draft, you're an NFL player. And Brock Purdy will be starting in a NFC Championship game. So, as I said, Dak Prescott was the issue. It's really that simple. With like all of the other analysis of the game, we could get into all of that. But for me, it was him. He played poorly. He's making $40 million a year. He probably was making more than any football player on the field yesterday. And he had the worst performance. So why do you have him as your quarterback? They'd have damn near been better with Cooper Rush in the game yesterday.
All right. Well, there's another quarterback floating around that may not play for his team next year. What about this gentleman right here? It's right next to Dak Prescott. What do you think about Aaron Rodgers?
No.
What else? I mean, that's it. You don't think Aaron Rodgers can come to Dallas and get him over the hump?
The question be, do you want to deal with his personality? That would be the thing. He, in some ways, though he don't have as many championships, he's like a guy that plays for the Lakers that a lot of Laker fans don't like. So do you want to deal with all of the stuff he brings? If you want to deal with all the stuff he brings, sure. But if I was Green Bay, I wouldn't want Dak Prescott. Like, if I'm Green Bay and I'm gonna go get a quarterback, I'd be trying to get Lamar Jackson.
And then what about Dallas? So you're saying you don't think Aaron Rodgers in Dallas would be a good match for the short term?
That's his old coach is there. Does it? I hate that. Does Aaron Rodgers want to play football? And does Aaron Rodgers strike you that his personality is like that of Kobe Bryant? Does he feel like he's all in, or does he feel? And you probably want to slap me for saying this, or does he feel more Shaquille O'Neal-ish?
Whoa, that's interesting. Yeah, well, I mean, at this point it does, but maybe playing in Dallas will revitalize him for a couple seasons. I don't know. Dallas has a good defense, so maybe that is something that could help. I'll tell you this too, Zach. I question Dallas, running game, because Pollard is, even though I think Pollard is good in his role, but as far as having a workhorse back, I think the days of Ezekiel Elliott is I think they need to wrap that up too. They need to move forward from Zeke.
Well, yeah, but you can get a running back.
He looks shot.
Well, you can get a like Seattle. Y'all got old boy out of Michigan State, which a great pickup. So they can get that. And for yesterday, I thought like the 49ers have a lights out defense. Based on the game and you playing on the road, and then everybody's talking about that the Cowboys didn't have enough rest. Everybody did their part except one guy to me. I said, if you want to throw Diggs in there, that maybe he catches that so the 49ers don't score, okay. Like, I'll give you that. But overall, if I'd have told you that they would be in that type of game, like it'd be 9-9 at halftime, and you'd have a chance to win. And that's with the interception in the first half. So at least if he didn't give you the interception in the second half, you still had a shot. But was Dak an upgrade over Brock Purdy yesterday? Like, which quarterback do you think performed better, or did they perform the same?
Even if it's the same, that's not what you want out of Dak Prescott. So
exactly.
And I think they pretty much were a wash to a degree. But Purdy did, like you said earlier, Purdy does his job. And 49ers are more of a team. And that's why it ties it all the way back to the Parsons, comments that he made questioning Jalen Hurts and everything. So, for their respective roles, I think Purdy did exactly what he needed to do. It kind of reminds me of a Jeff Hostetler right now.
I can go with that. And I'm sure y'all will get into this later today. But what was it? They were in cover 2. Lamb ran down the seam, and 54, not 54. I think it's 54. I can't think of the 49ers linebacker's name. The all-pro guy. He Fred Warner turned. He turned and ran with Lamb. And Lamb.
Yeah.
T.Y. Hilton
wide
down
open.
the damn seam, wide open, and that's a touchdown. Like, and yeah, it
come back.
happens fast.
Yeah.
But we're not supposed to see that. Oh, so I said, for you and me, we're not going to see that play. You know why we're not going to see that? Because we're not NFL fucking quarterbacks. And we don't make $40 million a year. And we don't wake up and do 8 hours of damn film session and practice and go over what happens if it's a cover 2 or what have you. Dak Prescott is supposed to see that and make that happen. And at some point, you can't keep hoping and wishing that a guy has a big game and he just comes up big in the playoffs. At some point, you either just get it done or you don't get it done. And I would ask you this, Mr. 4-on-1, because the Chicago Bears have the number 1 pick and they have Justin Fields. And then the Texans have the number 2 pick and they have David Mills at quarterback. If I called you up and I said, hey, I want to trade you for your quarterback and or your pick with the Bears and with the Texans, I will trade you for the number 2 pick, Dak Prescott. Would you make the trade?
Nope.
In neither situation.
Nope.
That tells you everything you need to know, because if I called you and I said I'll trade you Joe Burrow, if I said I'll trade you Patrick Mahomes, I think if I said I would trade you Lamar Jackson, you're probably making them trades. And even as bad as things went yesterday, Josh Allen, you're probably making that trade. The kid in San Diego, damn it, I always say San Diego. The kid with the Chargers,
Herbert.
You probably make that trade. So, look at low key, the Texans might take Hurts off your hands for the number 2 pick. So
why not?
If ain't nobody gonna trade for it, you got a Dak Prescott problem if you're the Cowboys. Like, that's your problem. They can go with all this other stuff. He is the issue. And I get what you're saying. They got other things they need to fix. But the first thing they need to fix is, Mr. Prescott, we're gonna this is like, I'd say next year is his last year, because I guess he's got a hard salary cap number or whatever. Next year is it. And if I could draft a quarterback this year, I'm drafting a quarterback.
Yeah. And something else that was good too. You talked about the 49ers playing as a team. They rushed the ball 32 times. And they even split those carries up. Like there's a 14-10 split between McCaffrey and Mitchell. And there was a stretch there where Mitchell was out there and they rolled the dice with him. And he pretty much carried the load on a couple drives. And so as a unit, San Fran got it done. But that running game, remember earlier in the show, was going to get back to the rushing, and
Yes.
that was key as well. They controlling that ground game and making the key plays when they needed to. So congratulations to the 49ers. They will be moving forward. So what we could do now, Zach, I mean, we can do a deeper dive if you want later on this week for like a little special segment, or we can go ahead and preview both matchups.
We might as well do it. We here now. Why not?
All right. Well, here we go. AFC, Chiefs and Bengals. Our thoughts.
Well, I here I go again. Lord Jesus, this is gonna be tough.
This is tough.
Man, and I hate being prisoner of the moment.
It's tough.
I'd like for somebody to tell me how healthy Patrick Mahomes will be on that ankle next week, because his ability to avoid the rush is a big part of their game plan. But man, I will have the courage of my conviction. I'm gonna take Cincinnati.
Very good pick.
I don't know if it'll be a high scoring game or not, but the Cincinnati offense is going up against the Kansas City defense. They're not going up against the Kansas City offense. I think the Kansas City defense will have a hard time stopping the offense. Like, it may be different this week with those three linemen out. Maybe they get somebody back. But I think Romo, it was yesterday, did the Bengals game. And one thing he said that actually makes perfect sense. Your backup linemen are big. Your backup linemen, they 300-plus pound human beings. So they may not be able to pass block well, but they can lean on you and run block. And, hey, what better recipe for the road anyway than, as you were just talking about, turn around, hand the ball off, run the ball, do some play action. But those guys should be able to do that. So I think this is a bad matchup for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs were hoping and praying that Buffalo won, even though they'd have to go to Atlanta and play this game, because they know, like I know, Buffalo don't want that smoke. And they know Cincinnati want all the smoke.
Yeah, Zach. Well, I'm gonna tell you, man. And I may have a little wrestling tidbit at the end of the show, depending on how much time we have. But I'm gonna go ahead and give you another tidbit here. This feels like a match where, like the wrestler got injured in the back, and now they got the tape wrapped around their ribs, and they come out and have the match, but they end up losing because they tried to do a move at the end, but the rib just gave out, and they just couldn't finish them, and because of that, and that's where I'm looking at right now with Mahomes and that ankle. Is like, man, what timing? To have that ankle sprain, and now you're playing the Bengals, and the Bengals are, you're the home team, but I mean, if as far as Bengals being on the road, like, this is what you want. You take these breaks, and with Mahomes more than likely going to be hobbled for this game. He's still going to play well, but you're probably going to look back at it and say, man, just what if he had that mobility? I do feel like this is going to be an offensive type game, and Cincinnati will just put up a couple more points than the Chiefs. So I do have the Bengals actually going back to the Super Bowl at this point now. They might as well. They've gotten this far. As you stated earlier, they was in a scenario where woulda, coulda had home field, and they ended up winning anyway and getting to this point. So I think they feel like, why not? The momentum's heading their way. They're loaded. It doesn't matter who's going to have the numbers. As long as Burrow is spreading the wealth, they're going to be fine. I think that this is the team right here that's going to make it. So between the Bengals and the Chiefs, looks like we both have Cincinnati.
And I'll say this. The Chiefs have a hard time with Jamar Chase. Like, Jamar Chase gives them issues. And as you were saying too, the Bengals been waiting all year to get back to the position to get to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
So they're going to be fired up.
Yep. And then in our next matchup, this should be a good one. By the way, my dad has, and I have the text messages. I have the documentation, he's been saying all along, and he's the Eagles fan, but he's
Yes.
been saying all along that the 49ers were going to be the team that the Eagles were going to have to go through to get to the Super Bowl. He really feels like San Francisco is a really tough team. Keep using that word tough. And so here we go. The 49ers, they have to win. If they're that tough team, they're going to have to take care of business in a tough environment in Philadelphia. So San Francisco and Philadelphia. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up.
Well, I think everybody probably knows where I'm gonna lean. I'm going to I'm gonna go ahead and lean on history in that I don't think any rookie quarterback has ever played in the Super Bowl. I may be off on that, but I know damn well a rookie quarterback has never won the Super Bowl. So if the 49ers are going to lose in a spot, this would be the spot. I've been preaching it all year. I will keep preaching it. Philadelphia, it is a very complete team. And I'll just lean on it kind of like I did with Dallas. If their quarterback performs, and I'll even say this because I'm going Philadelphia. So in a Philadelphia-Cincinnati matchup, it's all on Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts does what he's supposed to do, the Eagles will be the Super Bowl champions. And this is just getting into the stuff that people probably don't pay attention. They are so good on the line of scrimmage. Now, everybody's going to tell you that the 49ers are better on the line of scrimmage. It could be a toss-up. I think the Eagles are just a little bit better. And if you look at the All-Pro team, I think the Eagles have more than the 49ers. And when you go at their defensive line and the rotation that they have and bodies that they can throw at you, it's so good. And then add to that, Bradbury and Slay, you just don't like. And this might be my bias, but those are two corners that can really help your defense even more. That's less people that you have to have in coverage and more bodies you can throw it trying to get to the quarterback if that's what you want to do. But they hold up against the run. A.J. Brown is a tough wide receiver. And then Smith is a great number 2. Their tight end is a nice, like they have a nice team put together. These guys like each other. And look, Jalen Hurts, I still ain't gonna say he's the MVP or anything like that. But what the young man is, he's a great guy to be the starting quarterback for your team. And he's a high character individual. He looks the part, and I think he gives you that extra dimension with not only running the ball, but he can run it physically. I actually think the Eagles win by double digits. I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think Brock Purdy will have difficulty on the road, and I think Deebo Samuels and Brandon Ayuk have a difficult time getting open. I know they're going to try some gimmick stuff, and I know they're going to try to run it, but I will be shocked if the Eagles don't force Brock Purdy to beat them.
Yeah, the Eagles, offensively, they're clicking, and it doesn't take much. I mean, they basically had extended runs. Watching some of the game the other day, they just snap the ball, shoot it straight out there to the receiver, let them go to work. So there's plays, they design their team, their offense so that it tailors their quarterback. And so you're not asking Hurts to throw pinpoint passes 40 yards down the field. You're not asking for that. You're just asking for him to get the ball where it needs to be, let the receiver do his job. Same thing, you mentioned the running dynamic. I think that's something that San Francisco will have to deal with in this game. The threat of the run by the quarterback, and not just any kind of run. It could be a run that's going to break for 20 plus. And in order to have to deal with that and deal with the quick passing game, it just feels like Philadelphia just has too much going for them. I have the Eagles winning this game. San Fran will play hard. They will play tough.
Oh, yeah,
but,
most definitely.
But the Eagles, it's just too much, and they're clicking, and they can hurt you in many ways. So you can look up, and Hurts might have 120 yards this week. This upcoming weekend for this game, or he may have 250 yards passing. You just don't know which way it's going to go, and the Eagles don't care which way it go.
Like,
Too many
I would
weapons.
agree. Miles
Yeah,
Sanders could have a big day. AJ Brown
yeah,
could have a big day. They
yeah.
they are a well put together team. And I'll say this, uh, and this might be hyperbole. This is probably the game that dictates if Brock Purdy will be the San Francisco 49ers QB1 next year. If he
Yeah.
goes out and performs well, even in a loss, he probably comes in and is the starter, and they'll be comfortable going with it. If he struggles and has a nightmarish game, even though they've
Expect Tom
gotten to
Brady.
well, even though they've gotten to the championship game with him,
Yeah.
I think they will look to do something else with that position. And they probably need to,
What?
because at this point, that's probably all they're missing.
Well, it's still. I mean, there is a reason why it took 2 quarterbacks to go down before he played.
Yeah.
So so it's not like he's not doing a bad job. I mean, even if he stays on the roster, they know what they have in him now, and
Yes.
so they can play it all kind of ways. So we'll see how it goes. But I do think Tom Brady will be there next year, in San Francisco.
And here's the name
Purdy
for you.
Purdy may be the backup. What name you got?
Steve Berline. Remember him when he was with the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Aikman would get dinged up. Aikman missed for and Berline came in.
Yep.
And Berline got you through to a certain point, and then Berline went back to the bench once Aikman was ready to go. I know they ain't got an Aikman on the roster, but if things don't go well, you could see that scenario. And as you said, it's no shame. Like it ain't no shame in being a backup NFL QB when you probably didn't think you'd even be on the roster.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. All right, so that's our NFL coverage for the divisional round, and now we're into the conference championships. One more step to the Super Bowl. A tight end that did play in the Super Bowl, Shannon Sharpe. That's what we're going to talk about next, Zach. Shannon Sharpe was in a heated exchange, and I'm going to say heated, Zach. Some may say staged a little bit, but still, nonetheless, a heated exchange with multiple Memphis Grizzlies players and a parent. And so Shannon was on one, as they say. And it all kind of started this way, Zach. Shannon Sharpe made a comment to Dylan Brooks saying that, hey, you cannot guard LeBron James. Now, that's the understatement of the day. You know what I mean? Dylan Brooks cannot guard LeBron James. So, he's not saying something that's
is that what he actually said, or did he put more colorful language in it?
I according to what I've been reading and stuff, that's what he said. Now, how he said it, don't know. But that's what he said. And he had to probably say it pretty loud. I mean, because he's sitting over there, near the sideline. He couldn't just whisper that. So I'm certain he said it with something. And Dylan Brooks responded back saying, F you, F you. And then he said something along the lines of, he missed the shot. So you're referring to LeBron missing the shot. And then it just kept going from there. So it went F you, went F you back the other way. And then now here we go, right? And so then John Morant is stepping in, basically being like, hey, yo, cool it out. Talking, basically to Shannon, like, hey, yo, man, kind of like lay off my guy, cool out. He probably threw some stuff in there as well. Now Shannon starts with Morant. So now you got eventually Steven Adams steps in because you're not gonna mess with John Morant. Steven Adams is the bodyguard. So now Steven Adams, and think about this now, they all heading towards the direction of Shannon Sharpe. We'll play the video in a second. And then you're gonna see John Morant's father. He's on the sideline. He comes over and he is trying to say something. To me, it looked like he was basically trying to, hey, cool it, man. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like that. But you're going to see Shannon turn his attention to John Morant's father with the same, vigor that he did with the other guys, too. So let's go ahead and play it real quick, and then we'll get your comments on it, Zach. And by the way, before we do play it, let's go ahead and throw this up. There's a picture of Shannon Sharpe for those who may not know what he looks like.
Nice cardigan.
Yeah, it's a nice. I mean, I love the color combination there. The white tee going with it. The glasses. I think it all fits. Shannon Sharpe, well taken care of, man. He can still play today. you know,
for
no
about
matter
2
what.
plays.
Yeah, but he definitely looks good. He's doing, really. He's kind of like me and Tay Diggs, like just kind of continue to look well.
Well, he probably hits the
Throughout
gym.
time.
He probably hits the gym a little bit more than you guys do. But yes,
Yeah, slightly.
I would put y'all in the same category.
Yeah, and then he did come out with a formal apology. I think he did it today on the Undisputed.
He did.
Yeah, okay. So there's the apology right there. Ladies and gentlemen, you can pause it when you watch it again, when you watch the show again. And after you share it with your friends, have them pause it at this point too. And you can read that. All right, Zach, let's get to the video and then our comments.
All right.
So that's pretty much at the point where Shannon Sharpe turned his attention over to John Morant's father. But what you may not have seen, Zach, and we'll put some more things out there on the YouTube page, was that John Morant was heading that way, Jalen Brooks, but then Steven Adams started heading that way, and the closer Steven Adams got to Shannon, the more Shannon turned his attention to John Morant's dad. And that's a smart decision. But that's it. So what's your comments about all this, Zach?
Like, if you're gonna ask me honestly, I think the NBA should suspend all 3 Memphis players. Because why are you getting into it with a fan? And why are you getting it to the point where you're gonna walk towards a fan? And regardless of who Shannon Sharpe is, he's a fan. It shouldn't even be like this should just be the NBA should nip this in the bud, because Steven Adams was walking towards him. So let's play out worse. Like, instead of going off results, Steven Adams walks towards him. What does the NBA do if Steven Adams and Shannon Sharpe get into an altercation, physical altercation on the floor? Like,
he's gonna miss. He's gonna miss a huge chunk of time.
Like this, it would be similar to Malice in the Palace, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this should be stuff like this happens, kind of like how the NBA has people go to their bench and all this other stuff. It should be, or that you can't come off the bench. They should just come up with something. If you as a player get into it with a fan, you are suspended. Once something comes up, alert the referee or whatever, and security or whatever will take care of the fan. And then that just is the end of it. Because fans are going to talk. So unless you're going to tell fans they cannot say anything at the game, they're going to get kicked out, then fans are allowed to talk. So now at this point, the NBA should just put something in place. Players don't even do it. Like, we'll take care of it for you. And then it's over and done with.
Okay. And, I could go. Oh, go ahead. Finish out.
Oh, and I would just say this, especially these NBA guys, none of them could have been Jackie Robinson. None of them could have lived through the 50s, 60s, and 70s, where none of them could be Warren Moon, where you probably heard real harsh stuff. Because really, these words that these fans say to you, it outside of the N-word, cause you to crumble like that.
Yeah, what you're saying is valid. I do agree that, there should be either fines or some sort of fine, or maybe a game or 2 suspension in this particular scenario, to the players. But we need to also add in there, for me, Shannon Sharpe as the fan. It's one thing to make the comment, but there's another thing to continue and continue and continue involving yourself in this altercation, if you will, air quotes, the way he did, and to the point where security has to come out, separate.
But that's what I'm saying.
Separate him.
If they just alert the referee, because you're a ref, but
I get what you're saying.
What do you do in that situation?
Well, in that situation, it's what's called game management, and so you would you identify who the game manager is for that game that takes care of all the stuff that happens on the peripheral, everything that happens off the court, and you just point out the game manager, hey, take care of that fan over there, because that fan and this player are at a dispute, and it's to the point where it's hostile. You know what I'm saying? It can escalate just like it did. So security, game management, they would take care of all that. That's what you would do. And I guess what I'm saying is, at this point, if I was at that game, or if you was at that game, and yeah, you said something to the player, okay, that's one thing. But then if it continues on and on and on, and you back and forth, and people got to hold you back now and all that, then you, as the fan, should be suspended as well from the game, escorted out of the stadium. And Shannon was there, and Shannon was there for the remainder of the game. So yeah, take care of those players. They deserve some sort of punishment as well. Shannon Sharpe, he should not have been allowed to stay. He should have been immediately sent out of there and gone. And whatever else happens after that, maybe not attend a game or two. But because I don't think it was to the point where you could just say he never can come back to a game. I think maybe just something to kind of set a standard that, like you said, he's a fan. And so he needs to be treated like all the other fans would have been treated. And so I say you add that piece in there as well. And just one little side note, did you see any Lakers come to Shannon's defense?
I did not, but they shouldn't be coming to his defense, should they?
Well, I'm getting at this. Isn't he the big LeBron fan, right? And
that
he'll do anything for LeBron.
That don't mean they should be coming to his defense. He's a fan. He's a because the Lakers can't come to the defense of every fan that's at their game.
I agree with that. I don't have no problem with that, but I'm just saying where was the hey man, you know what? Come on, guys. Grab one of the Grizzlies, just trying to walk them away from all that too. I thought that was just interesting. But I will say, with the whole thing, Shannon should have been sent out of there. He should have been gone too.
I would agree, but that's why I said Dylan Brooks. Instead of going back and forth, Dylan Brooks, hey man, ref. They can the players can do that, right? So
right. I mean, because it's been done.
So I'm not going to put any of this on the fans. The fans are the fans. The players are the ones that have something to lose. Like I go back to Artest, and I argue all the time. Artest and the Pacers shouldn't have been suspended because the fans started with them. And what I'm always told is the players have the responsibility to make sure that they don't do anything. So this is all players. Players, you're gonna be the one that loses out. Just don't even do it. Just as soon as something irritates you, even if the ref won't do anything, alert the ref, Mr. Ref, Mr. 401. Hey, can you do something with that guy on the first row? And then at that point, it's on the referee.
Well, I agree with that, and that's the way with that process, the way it should be done. But also then we have for example, LeBron, didn't he point out a fan at the Hawks game?
Yes,
and said, hey, and got this person going, so that's what we need to see more of. So, it was an interesting situation. I think that Shannon. Oh, go ahead. I was saying what I think about Shannon.
And Shannon got talked to, which is look, when he gave his little spiel this morning. Oh, yeah, he was addressed by the people that he works for.
Right. Because he had a lot to say about Will Smith, right? The Will Smith scenario when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock and saying, hey, this is a bad example of how we
he was
be acting and all that.
If we can get the video up, someone talked to him because he apologized to a lot of people. And he made sure he apologized for his behavior. So he was definitely spoken to. And when I say spoken to, kind of like you speak to your son, as I've spoken to my children, when it's that one-way conversation. You ain't looking for no feedback.
Exactly. Go ahead and put this fire out. Beulah Dukes, hello. We thank you for tuning in and commenting. Look, she said Shannon is a sharp dude, very athletic. And we agree. Yep. And exactly. Unnecessary.
And a Georgian.
Actions. Yeah, all this, it was all unnecessary. What was that?
I'll say, and a Georgian.
Yes, he is. Yep. By the way, he sure is. All right. So that's what we have for today, Zach. We're going to close this out. We're going to close this out with a little nugget that happened on this day. Remember, I was telling you I might give a wrestling tidbit for today. And on this day, January 23rd, back in 1983, the world of professional wrestling changed, Zach.
A long time ago. I wasn't even born then, I don't think.
Uh-oh, let me find something right here. Let me just say that one more time, Zach. Ready? And action. Say that one more time, Zach.
I said, that's a long time ago. I don't think I was even born then. Unfortunately, we know that's not true.
Yeah. All right. So back then, the things have changed, man. You remember the Iron Sheik?
I do. Camel Clutch.
All right. That's right. And he had Hulk Hogan in the Camel Clutch at Madison Square Garden in the the WWF title match, right, at that time.
Was that WrestleMania?
Well, it was before WrestleMania.
Okay.
But it was before that slightly. But it ushered in Hulkamania. And so Hulkamania, as we know it, it started right here at Madison Square Garden. And Hogan defeated the Iron Sheik. Didn't take long. It was about a 6-minute match.
Seriously?
He broke the infamous camel clutch. And by the way, that move really works if you try it on somebody. I actually got in a fight because I did that.
Stop it.
Somebody one time.
Who would let you
I didn't let go.
To
but well, you know, we was having our matches and it got out of hand. So
yes.
Yeah. So
I would think if you bend someone backwards like that, yes, it would actually work.
Yeah. Well, Hogan broke this clutch, ended up winning the match, and Hulkamania was born. So there you have a whole era. This is where Hulk Hogan really took off. But some backstory to this was that the Iron Sheik was actually, well, a lot of these guys, some of these guys came from what's called the AWA. That was a Minnesota-based wrestling organization. And Vince McMahon actually took a lot of wrestlers from there and brought them over to WWF. And so Vern Gagne, who's a former wrestler and a trainer, actually ran the AWA back in those days. Iron Sheik came from there. Yeah, the Iron Sheik was offered $100,000 to break Hulk Hogan's leg. Hulk Hogan came from the AWA. And so, you know, Vince McMahon was about to make this guy a big star, and AWA wasn't liking that too much. So yeah, they put out a hit for Hogan, and the Iron Sheik said no. He turned down the $100,000. He was actually supposed to break. He was supposed to break his leg during the match, and like Iron Sheik, yeah, like really break his leg, like literally break it, and then take the belt and take it back to AWA as a way to get back at WWF. But Iron Sheik did not do it. And that's where Iron Sheik is very key in the history of professional wrestling. A little bit about Iron Sheik. He actually was a bad dude. He was really good. When I say bad, I'm talking about in wrestling. Like, he was a real Greco-Roman wrestler, medaled. He was a AAU champion in wrestling. And he also was a coach for the USA in 72, I believe. Yeah. So he was actually a wrestling coach for the United States Olympic team. And he got into professional wrestling. So he's from Iran. It ties into the story because back then, around that time, we had something going on, United States in Iran in the real wars. And so the characters and all that matched up. It allowed Hulk Hogan to be the American hero. So all of it tied together. And so all that happened on this day. And so it's all the key to all this is that the Iron Sheik, everybody talks about Hogan, but the Iron Sheik was key to all this working. And so you can't forget about the unsung heroes. And when you tie this back to football, when you're watching your games this weekend and you watch the Super Bowl coming up, you're going to see that there's going to be some unsung heroes. It may not be the star players that get the job done, that gets the team over the top. So keep all that in mind.
I will. And my guess is when Patrick Mahomes is under those piles, he's going to get a little extra love on that ankle.
Yeah, there's probably going to be a hit on that ankle. Yep. And there it is. All right, Zach. Excellent. And as you mentioned earlier, there will be some more guys in the studio later on because some of them have to answer to Dallas.
They do. And I feel
short.
bad for those guys. I kind of felt they were setting themselves up a little bit. It's all right. It's all right. It happens.
Yeah, so we'll find out what's going on later on tonight. You'll hear from Jerry. You'll hear from Nick. You'll hear from Philly Red Zone. So Philly Red Zone will have a lot to say about Dallas not making it.
Hey, this would be a day that you call in sick.
There you have
it. I don't envy those guys talking to Philly Red Zone today.
Oh man, Philly Red Zone's he's gonna be on one. You thought Shannon Sharpe was on one.
Yes.
Philly Red Zone was about to get down.
I hope you got a lot of humble pie for everybody because it's gonna be they're gonna have a tough time today.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, he's Zach. I'm his 4-1. We thank everybody for watching. Tune in.
Yes,
hit those buttons for us.
We appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one. We'll see you.
Take care, everybody.